Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of the DATEABLE podcast. Just a reminder, we're in the off season, but it does not mean we pause the content. It just means we bring you a little bit more about us. if that's a
Different
good thing. I hope that's a good
content.
thing.
Well,
And
yes, about us, but also about dating questions, which is really what everyone is here for, right?
I hope so. I really, really hope so. I was talking to a few new married friends,
Okay.
and they asked me when they heard about the podcast, they said, well, obviously it's only single people that listen to it. And I know we've talked about it on the show, but we definitely have some married lurkers who also listen to the podcast quite frequently.
Mhm.
And once I told them the topics, they both started downloading and listening to episodes because both of them have been together since college. So they've never done the dating app scene, they've never done the dating
Mm.
around scene. And I guess these topics were so fascinating to them that they're listening to them on their own.
Yeah, and I mean, I would also argue there's a lot of topics we cover that would be applicable at all stages of relationships. I'll give a shout out to my sister-in-law. I know she's an avid Dateable listener, and I think obviously she was drawn to it to support, but I do think, she's told me before that a lot of them even help, someone that's been married a couple years at this point. So I think there's something for everyone. Clearly, some topics are more applicable than others, depending on your stage of life and relationship status. But I really do believe there's something for everyone here, too.
Everyone loves talking about dating and love and relationships. It's just a fascinating topic. And that's why we try to be as inclusive as possible in our content because you never stop dating. Even if you're married, you don't
Nope.
stop dating your partner either. And
Well, you shouldn't. If you do, that's when things sometimes go to shit, right?
yes, yes. And that's why, I mean, we're re airing this episode with Katie Storino, but she's in the same boat. She's married, but she's also finding
Mhm.
ways of dating her husband and keeping it fresh and alive.
Yeah. And, we love being guests on other people's podcasts. So when Katie approached us to be on her podcast, Boob Sweat, we were super excited because we actually had followed Katie and seen her Instagram. She does this really, I would say, like, I think she's like a pretty big, like, body positivity
She is.
influencer. And
Yes.
I love that she does the before, like, how I wear it versus how some celeb wears it. And it's really showing that you can make, any style work for you. So I think she does a lot of really inspirational content, even outside of Boob Sweat, but obviously Boob Sweat too. And they were so kind to send us their products because she is the
Yeah.
founder of Mega Babe, which is a beauty supply company.
So many people
And
probably know of this brand.
yeah, I mean, I freaking love these products. Like when I
Mm-hmm.
was in Austin, I decided to bring them all with me. One,
Mm-hmm.
because they were the perfect travel size, but I
Mm-hmm.
also didn't realize, especially in hot weather, how handy they would come in. How handy they would be. Deodorant wipes, I feel like that's genius, especially in hot weather.
Yeah, the shower wipes are really good. I love the Latouche clarifying mask. It's a butt mask. Maybe TMI, but I work out a lot and I sweat and I'm in my, spandex and it just feels good to clarify the butt because that's also skin, If we're clarifying our faces, we should also be, I don't know, paying some attention to our butts.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's funny because I feel like I got different products than you, but we both love them in
Oh, you
different
did. You
ways.
didn't get the.
Yeah,
You didn't
I
get the
didn't get
butt.
that one, no.
Okay, I didn't get the chafing one either. So yeah,
Okay.
maybe we're mixing it up. These are fun though. And I love the packaging, the whole look and feel. It's really tongue in cheek, really fun. You just feel like you're part of something
Mhm.
just really cute and fun.
Definitely give the Boob Sweat a follow, Katie's podcast, but also they were kind enough to give a code out to use at Mega Babe Beauty. So our listeners can get Boob Sweat 15 for 15% off your order at megabeauty.com.
Use the code. What was it, babe?
Mega
Boob
Babe
sweat
or Boob Sweat 15. Boob Sweat 15.
at the Mega Babe website.
Yep,
Cool.
megababebeauty.com, and we'll link that in our show notes as well.
It's been a fun couple of weeks. I was laid off officially last Wednesday. I guess by the time this comes out, it'll be 2 weeks. And I've never been laid off officially like this before.
Mm.
I've been phased out of contract positions, but not
Mm.
laid off. And 35% of the company was laid off, which really heavily affected my department. So 80% of my department is gone,
Wow.
which is insane. But then now that's all you see in the news. It's like this company laying off X percent, that company laying off X percent. Part of this kind of reminds me of dating. I know, we're trying to think of ways to relate this back to dating, but the way we normalize the way companies treat employees is like the
Yeah.
way we normalize bad dating behavior. We think people
Yeah.
are disposable and we talk about them in numbers. 35% of people are laid off, not the moms or the people who newly moved to a city or the people who are
Right.
caring for someone ill in their family. And it's not that. There's no humanity to that. It's just a number. It's all business, right?
I mean, I've definitely been through layoffs before, some cases where I've been laid off, and other cases where I've survived the layoff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I hate about layoffs, and I know, it's always nothing personal. A lot of the times it has to do with the company health. But what it is it's so out of nowhere. I think when you're
Mm,
on the road to getting fired, usually you have some warning, right? That you
yeah.
need to pick it up a little, improve your performance. But I think layoffs can really just catch you off guard. I remember like when I got laid off from a startup, I don't know, this was years ago at this point. I just remember them being like super awkward
Yeah.
and then just like telling me to come to the conference room. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm getting laid off. Like it just was so weird, the whole experience. And I think like I mean, we talked about this. Like you heard a rumor ahead of time, so you kind of knew it was
Mm-hmm.
coming, but it wasn't that much notice. And I do think about all the people that you know pour their heart and soul into work and
Don't do it.
uproot uproot your family, like uproot like all this your life basically to for a job. And it's a shame because oftentimes like they'll fill your job description will be back up in a second or just non-existent anymore and no one seems to care. Like you were said, you're just a number to everyone, not a person.
Yeah, I mean, these companies are just worried about the bottom line. So, whatever they
Yeah.
can do to show profitability, they'll do it at the expense of people. But when you are a growing company and you're spending money like there's no end or limit, you feel like you're the golden child, right? You feel like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, I'm with this unicorn company. We're spending
Yeah.
money. There's no budget. I almost feel like that is a sign of bad things to come.
Yeah. I've been pondering this for a little bit. And, I think some of it relates to companies, but also it relates to relationships too. When do you uproot your life? And,
Hmm.
on one side, you could argue that, let's say you have this great job opportunity that's in a different city. Then you could say, well, part of my life is work and I want to get that opportunity. And that's a big aspect of me. You could also say, let's say you met someone, you know, and you don't know them super well, but for whatever reason you decide to let me say this a different way without being obvious. Let's say you decide to uproot your life for like someone you recently started dating, or they had to move somewhere, or you had to go to a certain location to be with someone. What point is it adapting your life versus uprooting your life?
I think that's a very good question. And for some people, I think it just depends on what your priorities are. But I always ask the question, what matters when you're on your deathbed? What matters?
Yeah.
Does it matter that company that you sacrificed your life for and you moved for? Are you going to be talking about that company? Or are you going to be talking about the person that maybe you moved your life for? You took a risk, things didn't work out, but it taught you many lessons. I still think human connection is worth the risk, but companies, it's never worth the risk.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I obviously think that I value relationships and all of that, but I don't know if it depends again. This is so nuanced, obviously. How long have you been with this person? How reciprocal are the feelings? How well do you know them? These are all factors. But I think, completely changing your lifestyle and if you're happy in your life or someone else, to me is even arguable if that is the right call, or is it better to find someone that
Mm-hmm.
fits in with your lifestyle? I mean, I can see it both ways, so it's something that's kind of been on my mind of what is the right path, and maybe there is no right path. It's just specific to you and how you view life and what's important.
I just would hate to ask the question, what if later down the
Yeah,
line? I mean, remember when you're dating that guy in the UK and you definitely thought about visiting at least and exploring the options? It's worth exploring, right? Maybe it's not uprooting, but I think human connection is always worth further exploration.
yeah. I know. I think about that though, but for whatever reason, even in that situation, I never ended up doing it. I was still resistant
Yeah.
to like changing my entire life and moving it to another country. And you could argue that, like, yeah, that didn't work out because I didn't do that. But now I found someone that's actually a much better fit for me in
Right,
all
right.
ways, you know?
Yeah, and that's the thing with life, right? Because it's like, did I make the right decision? Is this thing good that I'm in?
Right.
And it's very subjective because the good thing could bring you a bad thing and the bad thing could bring you a good thing. So
Exactly.
the only way to look at it is, do I have regrets and did I try my best,
Yeah.
right?
And I think too, like, if you move to a different city for work,
Mhm.
and you felt like, okay, I'm ready to like explore somewhere else and this is something I want to do, even if the job doesn't work out, it could be a really great thing. So
Totally.
I don't think it's like an either or in any way. And there's so many aspects and variables in all of these, but it does make you question, especially, when people are so disposable in today's world, whether that's in companies or in modern dating, to like make huge shifts for other people.
Yeah.
But then if you don't do that, like that doesn't get you anywhere either. It's very chicken and egg, I think.
It's such a bubble that people live in when you're at a company because you start caring about the things that really don't matter in life. And I had these coworkers that were just so hung up on their titles. Oh, when am I going to get
Mm,
this senior title? When am I going to get this director title? And equivalently in dating, same. It's like, when are we going to DTR and have call each other boyfriend or girlfriend and show that commitment to other people through labeling. But when you zoom out, you see, well, does this really matter ultimately? Does this label or this title really affect my human happiness? Probably not. But
right.
if I can make the best of this situation or the best of this relationship, that's probably more of a contributing factor to my happiness.
Right. And that's why I think it's so important to be well rounded and not put your
Yeah.
value only on work or only on
Yeah.
relationships. Because I think, for a while, like when I started my career, I worked at Yahoo for 8 years.
Yeah.
Some of
Long
our
time.
listeners might be like, what the fuck is Yahoo? But it used to be, it
I
used to
used to be the
be
golden
up
child.
there. It used to be the number one site on the internet, even above Google, if you could believe it. I
Yes.
saw a chart recently and Facebook, all of them. But anyways, I feel like for a long time I had my identity. Yahoo is part of my
Yes.
identity.
Yes.
So I feel like if I got laid off under that circumstance, it would hurt so much more
Yes.
than if you're like, I'm a like for I'll just use my day job for an instance. I'm a designer instead
Mm-hmm.
of like being tied to a company because then you can, go somewhere else and do that work. And I
Mm-hmm.
think like especially with you too, it's like you have the podcast, you have other like on-screen work that you
Diversify.
do.
Yeah.
Exactly. The more you can diversify, and I think too in relationships, like again, not saying like you shouldn't give your all to your partner, but when you make your partner your entire world and you give up things
Mm-hmm.
that make you whole, like your friendships and hobbies and whatever it may be, like, I think that's when, if you do break up, it stings that much harder because you've lost yourself in the process.
Yes, you've lost your entire identity. I think we covered this in this episode with Katie Storino. I think because she's also talking about just her shifts in identity through
Mhm.
previous marriage and then this current marriage. So I say we just get into this episode.
Yeah, and for anyone that missed the episode we did with her on
Yeah,
our podcast,
it's good.
it was called Taming Your Inner Critic, and we might have gone into that there too in more depth. She definitely talked about, a relationship won't save you. If you think that the key to happiness is a relationship,
Right,
then that's
right.
not correct. And also, how she started this entire Mega Babe company
Mm-hmm.
after her divorce. So
Mm-hmm.
it kind of goes back to the theme that we were talking about is there can be, even in the worst of outcomes, there actually can be pushing you in a direction that's better for you.
Yep. So even in the off season, y'all, we still do the brunch talk. It releases every Sunday. We answer your burning dating questions. So definitely check that out because
Yes.
we don't pause on those.
Nope, we do not pause on brunch every Sunday or Saturday if we release it early by accident. And then our other announcements at Dateable Podcast, you can follow us on Instagram. You can submit your brunch talk questions. We love getting them sent to us because that's how we really know we're doing work that benefits you all by answering what's top of mind. So send them to hello@dateablepodcast.com or DM us on Instagram. Any way you can get those questions over. And you can also find us on Love in the Time of Corona, our Dateable Podcast Facebook group. So hope to see you there. And yeah, definitely share this with a friend.